Hello everyone, welcome back to Indiana Kayak Fishing Journal. Today the footage I have for you guys is from September the 11th. I actually made the long journey from Fort Wayne, Indiana to Manitowoc, Wisconsin to take part in the 2021 Great Lakes Kayak Fishing Series Manitowoc Salmon Tournament. Now this tournament has been on my list of things to do for quite a few years now, as well as trying to catch a king salmon. So I thought, what the heck, I'm going to do both of those things at the same time and try to knock both those things off my list at the same time. So fishing the salmon tournament and trying to get a king salmon at the same time. Now, instead of driving from Fort Wayne around the bottom part of Lake Michigan over through Chicago and Milwaukee to get up to Manitowoc, what we did was actually we drove from Fort Wayne up to Ludington, Michigan, and we took the SS Badger, which is a car ferry, from Ludington right over to Manitowoc, Wisconsin. So that made for a really cool journey. I'm going to show a short clip of the journey from Ludington to Manitowoc so you guys can see what I'm talking about.
Life preservers around the board for all heck.
So the trip from Ludington to Manitowoc on the SS Badger takes approximately 4 hours to complete. And actually it was kind of expensive. For the two of us to go across, cost us $200 for the 2 passengers plus a vehicle. So it's pretty expensive and it takes a long time for the ferry to get across the lake. But honestly, the experience was well worth the time and the money to do. Very cool. Now, the other thing that it let me do is when we got into Manitowoc, I got to kind of take like a bird's eye view look of what the harbor and the area around the harbor looked like. So to begin the tournament the following day, basically my plan was, after looking at the water from the Badger, was you can see in the video that the water coming out of the Manitowoc River is really, really tannic stained. It's really brown color. And the temperatures were in the 70s basically the whole week leading up to the tournament. So what I figured was the salmon don't really like hot temperatures, so I figured a lot of fish may be outside of the mud line from the Manitowoc River, out past that, out into the clear water in the lake. So my strategy was, first thing in the morning, to pedal out onto the lake if the wind and the waves allowed me to do so, and to fish that break line outside of that break line in that clear water and hopefully a little bit cooler water to see if I could get some salmon out there. So that's exactly what I did. I woke up early in the morning, about 3:30 in the morning, and cooked a breakfast over my camp stove, and then headed down to the tournament. Checked in. There was actually 33 people fished the tournament, which is the most that they've ever had fish that tournament. So that was pretty exciting too. We got the go-ahead from the tournament director to take off and go fishing. So we went out. I immediately made the left turn out of the harbor and went out onto the lake and started trolling, trying to find that mud line. And basically when I got out there, there was a lot of bait, on the bottom right outside of the mud line in that clear water. And before long, this happened. There's the sun coming up over Lake Michigan. Beautiful. Nice and wavy out here this morning. Awesome. Oh man, I got one on. Oh, holy crap.
a little guy, but shit, I'll take it. Ah, jeez. Coho. It's a freaking coho. That's awesome. A nice coho. Yes. Nice coho. Not a king, but look at that big fat coho. Yeah, baby. Nice coho. Beautiful coho. That's the biggest coho I've ever caught for my kayak right there. It's really not even that big, but it's beautiful. Love it.
So like I said, you know, it was awesome getting that coho salmon. Very, very cool, really nice fish. And actually that's the biggest coho that I've ever caught from my kayak. And honestly, it's the biggest salmon I've ever caught from my kayak too, which isn't saying a whole lot for a lot of people, but I don't get the opportunity to get out and fish for salmon for my kayak more than maybe a time or two every year. So really cool, really lucky to get that fish, really happy to get them. Now, I saw a bunch of bait out there, so what I did was I actually had caught that fish on one of these number 9 flicker shads, and this has upgraded split rings and upgraded hooks. So like I said, I got that fish on that flicker shad, so what I did was I switched the other rod over to a flicker shad and marked the place where I'd hooked the fish on my GPS so I could go back over that spot a couple of times. I did a couple more loops through there, and I actually got another bite that just didn't manage to hook up. And by that time, I was getting really hungry and I had to use the bathroom, so I decided to go back in to the harbor and do those two things. And after that, it looked like it was getting windy and wavy out, so I decided to stay in the harbor for a little bit and try trolling the river as well, just to see if I could get into any more fish. That ended up being a mistake, and I should have gone right back out to where I was seeing those fish, those marks on my graph. But by the time I made that decision to go back out onto the lake, it was so windy and so wavy that it was just never going to happen. I did not feel comfortable out on the lake. That's one of those things that I would always encourage any angler, any kayak angler to do, is definitely stick to your ability level and don't put yourself in any uncomfortable situations, especially when you're out on a body of water like Lake Michigan. It's just not worth it. Even though I wanted to get back out to where I caught that coho to try for another one, it just wasn't worth it. So like I said, after that, I basically just spent the rest of the tournament in the harbor and watched the SS Badger come in. So that's the footage I'm going to show you next.
What's your last 2 hours of the night?
Jeez. Fucking badger. Yeehaw! Jeez. That's a pretty ship. That's really cool. Well, that's it for fishing for me today. I got one coho. We'll see how it holds up. I don't know. I didn't hear of really very many people catching anything, so curious to see how this coho does. It'd be funny if I placed with just one little small, 3 or 4 pound coho. It'd be awesome though. I'd be feel incredibly blessed if I was one of the few people that actually managed to catch a fish and I ended up placing in this thing. So stay tuned. We'll see how it goes. So crazy enough, it ended up once we got to the weigh-in that the one guy that I knew of that had a king came in. So between all of the anglers that had come in, I had a coho and that guy had a king, and that's all that I knew of up to that point. There was one guy that actually came back from upstream and he had a king as well. But those were the only 3 fish caught all day by 33 anglers. So kind of ironic, they had the best turnout as far as number of anglers. They had 33 anglers. And they had, I think, the worst turnout they had for fish with only 3 fish caught all day. Now, I did hear of other people that had, rips and pulls and then fish popped off or bent hooks out or things like that. But only 3 fish were managed to land that entire trip. So I feel really lucky that I got the one that I did, even though it's a coho, not exactly what I was looking for. It ended up turning out really, really well because I placed 3rd place. I got $210 for 3rd place. And then Kyle and I actually got to take that salmon back to the campground. I filleted it up, and then we actually cooked a couple of big salmon steaks over the fire with some butter and some lemon pepper, and it was some of the best salmon that I've ever had. I mean, it was just absolutely delicious over that fire. So, like I said, I couldn't really ask for more. It was a great trip. That was the only fish that I caught, but really cool, really awesome experience. I'm going to leave you guys with a couple more pictures from the tournament just so you can get a better sense of what it was like being there. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you to everybody who likes, comments, subscribes, shares these videos. I really appreciate it. I'll see you guys on the next one.